Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel, my first ever video posted. If you're coming from TikTok, I'm sure you've seen these videos and heard the audio with it, but here it goes again. So Matt and I went over to Abbotsford, which is a 2-hour ferry ride and then about an hour drive. We stayed in this hotel and we worked on this lovely home for 3 full working days, but we were in Abbotsford for 4 days. This will be the raw, unedited footage, as I had to cut quite a lot out due to time restraints on TikTok. The client of this house was the son of the owners, and he kind of inherited this house. His parents aren't gone, but his dad is older and living in a home now, and his stepmother is in the hospital with dementia. He was told to sell the home, and unfortunately, obviously, he couldn't sell it in this state, which is where we come in. Now, typically in houses like this, we would want to donate and sell a bunch of the stuff here. But that being said, I'm hired to do a job and I do what I'm told. The owner of this home, the son who hired us, said to get rid of everything. He did not want to deal with any of it. He didn't want this process drawn out or to take too long. And we were told to get rid of everything. Now, I know for a lot of you that is going to be heartbreaking to watch. Trust me, it was heartbreaking to do, but we had to do what we had to do. We were only there for 3 days and we needed to get the job done. That being said, there were items that we were like, oh my God, are you sure you don't want to keep this? It's quite expensive. And he was like, I don't care. I don't want it. It's going in the trash. Take it if you want it. So Matt and I did get to save quite a few items that we liked. Unfortunately, there were furniture that, Matt fell in love with that we just could not take home. I have a RAV and we couldn't fit it all. The dust in this home was something I've never seen before. Everything had not been cleaned or moved or touched in years. Many of these rooms weren't accessible and just sat and collected dust. And these lovely people collected so many things. They had collections of books and magazines and knives and dolls and china. So it was definitely heartbreaking to see somebody's life and their collections just reduced to trash. But without further ado, let's get into it. So we started out day 1 upstairs in the back rooms. So we ended up doing the bedroom, the master bedroom, the bathroom, and the 2 side rooms here. This one's not even accessible right now, and we ended up getting in there and getting that room completely done. This was probably the dustiest room out of all of them. On day 1, we also ended up getting about 80% of the kitchen done, and then came back day 2 and finished that. This is the room that we started in. And once we got that room empty, we ended up putting things in there that the homeowner could go through. So we were asked not to throw out jewelry, family photos, and the expensive Canon cameras that his dad collected. We got to work right away, and like I said in the TikToks, this was a little different from my typical hoarding cleans. My normal cleans, the clients still live there, so I'm going through and making sure I'm saving anything that can be saved and really taking my time to make sure I'm not throwing out too much. Where in this case, everything was going. We still did have to go through every single jewelry box, every nook and cranny, because there were things that the homeowner had asked us to find. For example, there was one piece of jewelry in particular. It was a necklace, and he had asked us to find it. We ended up finding it on day 1 in the master bedroom, but it was very tedious going through all of these boxes, jewelry boxes, cabinets, dressers, and so on. For the most part, Matt mostly helped me run things out to the C-can. I did a lot of the filling and he ran things out for me, which was extremely helpful. And at the end, we ended up filling 2 full C-cans, the biggest size you can get, and 2 1-800-GOT-JUNK trucks. But you'll see some of that later on. I'm going to be quiet and let you just enjoy the video for a little while. But do keep in mind, this is mostly unedited, and some of the parts do lag on a little longer than anticipated, and I apologize about that. These radios that you can see on the side were actually all connected through the closet. They went up through the roof and we could not remove them. They are still there to this day, and we are going to try and figure that out later. So you'll see everything, including furniture, had to go. We ended up going through every drawer of every nightstand, of every dresser, and going through making sure there was no jewelry or anything that the homeowners wanted to keep, and then getting rid of the furniture itself as well. We used this closet to start putting things in that the homeowner had asked to keep, so jewelry, tools, those cameras, family photos, etc., that they could go through later. So this room ended up being kind of our storage room for those things. Now we're trying to tackle the hallway to get into that back spare room that was inaccessible. This room by far had the most collections in it. There were knives, there were these little beaded handbags that she had made. There were bears and dolls and those little glass shoes, coin collections, and more, and so many books. We ended up using 2 rooms for books to collect in, as we were going to be donating those to the Salvation Army or Diabetes Association, and this was one of those rooms. We just ended up leaving all of the books in there that were already in there, and then we used a downstairs room that had quite a few books to collect as well. I want to apologize for some of the angles of these rooms as they were quite full. I couldn't get my camera in to get a better angle. So unfortunately, until we get a good majority of the pathway cleared here, you have quite a crappy angle on the floor there. And I do apologize for that. It was the best I could do at the time. Matt ends up dropping some coins here, and you'll see him have to pick all those up. It was quite funny. The gentleman who hired us also paid for the ferry trip over and back, paid for our hotel for 3 nights, and paid for lunches and a dinner. He constantly was checking on us and making sure we got enough water and everything, and was quite phenomenal to work with. What a sweetheart. Once we got into this room, we realized how bad the dust actually was. All of that gray everywhere, that is just thick dust. And let me tell you, it was on everything. I already know some of you are going to comment about the masks. I am fully well aware that I should have been wearing a mask, but I did not. And let me tell you, blowing our noses at the end of the night was quite interesting. All of these beautiful bears and dolls all have their certificates of authenticity underneath them and are quite the collector's item. So a couple of those we did end up keeping as well. Here we are going through the contents of the desk, making sure that there is nothing important that we need to salvage. There was on that little sheet there a bunch of old Canadian money, so that was obviously kept. All of the beautiful purses hanging on the wall that she actually handmade with beads, those were all kept as well, and we just put them in the other room where we were putting things that the homeowner had to go through. Here's the first look at the sea cam we were filling. We ended up filling 2 of those to the brim, door closed. It was insane. This is the bedroom. This by far was the most tedious room because of the amount of jewelry that they had in this room that we had to go through and make sure we kept and ensured that everything had, pairs and was matching and all of that fun stuff. So you'll see me go through quite a few jewelry boxes and drawers quite tediously here just to ensure that I'm not throwing out anything important. This room also had quite a lot of things in it, and they weren't big things. They were quite small little things that we had to go through, and so for that reason, it took quite a while to get this room done. But I'm glad that we did. We ended up finding the jewelry that was specifically asked of us to find, and the homeowner couldn't have been happier, which was amazing. But we did end up having to throw out these beautiful pieces of furniture here that you're seeing, the matching end tables and dresser. All of their beautiful solid wood furniture had to go, unfortunately. Now on day 2, we actually ended up having room on the lawn for things because the sea can was full, and people walking by, like neighbors and the mail lady and just some random people, we had told them, take whatever you want, it's going in the garbage. So a few things did go to good homes, and a lot of pieces of wood went to a gentleman that lived close by that did a lot of woodworking. I will be the first to tell you that some of this furniture was so freaking heavy. The solid wood pieces that were made back then were so much heavier than the MDF stuff made now, and oh my lord, these nightstands weighed a ton. But that didn't stop me. Getting the bed out of here was quite satisfying because we were finally able to kind of see the end goal for this room. Once we moved the bed, though, we did find a lot more stuff underneath, which was not shocking. The bathroom videos are probably one of the more satisfying videos that I got just because there are so many products and things to throw out, and it's just lovely seeing them all go. She had over 15, 16, sometimes 30 of the exact same thing, and they were all full and very expired. She definitely liked to collect things and had things that she really liked, and it showed. On this shelf alone, you can see all those upside down bottles of the exact same product. They were all full and very expired. Under the sink, there was a bottle of baby powder that had exploded all over everything, along with the dust that was already in there. It was quite the struggle to get these cupboards clean without coughing. This is still on day one. I wanted to get a good start on the kitchen as I still had about an hour or two left. And my goal was to be done at completely done upstairs by day 2 at noon, so that we were able to have enough time to get downstairs completed on day 3 and the rest of day 2. We ended up completing about 75–80% of the kitchen on day 1, which was amazing because I think it helped keep us on track for day 2. And although it is extremely sad throwing out all of this lovely cutlery and like beautiful, like old golden and, silver cutlery and these beautiful plates, it was quite satisfying hearing the crashing noise when you don't have to worry about breaking things and you can just huck things into bags and bins. That part of it was quite fun. I want to reiterate again that we asked on multiple occasions through the 3 days if the homeowner now wanted to keep anything, if he was 100% certain that we could throw all this stuff out and that's what he wanted, and the answer was always yes. He did not want to deal with anything. He wanted it all gone and he wanted it thrown out. It was not our decision, and albeit very hard to do, we had to comply as we were only there for 3 days and it is not our house. So please be kind. I realize this is very difficult to watch for some people. Some of this food was so expired, it is insane. When we get downstairs, there was preservatives that were canned in the late 80s, early 90s, and no longer even looked like what the label said. There was things in these cupboards that had expired before I was born. It was insane. With day 1 coming to a close, this was the final corner cupboard that we did, and we didn't quite get this one finished. Matt ended up taking a little tumble down the stairs as it was raining on day 1 and 2, and the stairs were getting wet, and we had to end day 1. So this is the end of day 1 here. That room just has a bunch of books, and that room has everything that they need to keep and go through. And this is the master bedroom, completely gutted and empty. The hallway and the bathroom, again, completely gutted. All of the closets in this hallway were empty as well. And then, like I said, we got a really good portion of the kitchen done on day 1. This is where we left off, just that corner cupboard that needs to be finished off. And they had a corner dining area in the kitchen as well. This is day 2. I started on this little closet in the kitchen, finished with the little corner that we started on day 1, and then did the dining area. This little curio cabinet behind us here was quite simple to go through, but there was a lot of books and it was quite heavy. So a lot of the items took us a minute or two to get into the other room because they were very, very heavy. Again, taking all the major pieces of furniture out as well as the homeowner cannot sell them in there. He needs it nice and clean. And you'll notice as well that we are leaving the house relatively dirty after we take everything out. We are coming back to clean it in probably about 2 weeks' time. But our main goal was just getting it emptied while we had the sea cans and the junk guys available those days. The smell of the fridge is something I wish I could share with you guys, although I don't think you'd want me to. There wasn't as much food in it as I thought, but the smell was overpowering for sure. The dining room here was one of my favorite areas to clean just because, probably my second favorite area to clean because it was so satisfying to see everything disappear. They obviously didn't use this room for what it was, intended to be used for. And there were so many bags and boxes of magazines, lots of craft supplies as she was a heavy crafter. She did beading, knitting, you name it. One of the pieces of furniture Matt really fell in love with was that corner curio cabinet over there with the glass. Unfortunately, we couldn't take it as we just, like I said, have the RAV and it wasn't able to be taken. So unfortunately, it's in a dump somewhere in Chilliwack. Again, I'm well aware that how important and expensive some of these little porcelain dolls must have been. We did keep a couple of them, but unfortunately, like I said, it wasn't up to us and they mostly did go. If you pay attention throughout this entire video, you'll notice that there is quite the amount of dust floating through the air and you'll catch it sometimes on the camera, especially when I move certain things or if we have a flashlight shining somewhere, you'll notice it pretty bad. This part of the living room gave me the biggest headache. You'll see me struggling quite a bit getting these VCRs and these FM radios out of here because I don't know how they were connected in the back, but They were connected in such a way that they were impossible to get out, and I almost lost my mind trying to get them out. I eventually do get them out without cutting the cords or harming anything, but oh my goodness, I wanted to scream. And at this point, we no longer could fit things in the sea can, so we were just chucking things out the living room window, which is where you'll see this go. Next was this giant china cabinet. This is going to be the part most of you probably skip because there is gorgeous crystal glass and, china and glass cats and little collectibles, curio cats, all that fun stuff. And unfortunately, more than 80% of this went in the garbage. Yes, I realize how much money we probably just threw out, but like I said, there's nothing I can do about it. This thing was a heavy bitch, but we got her out with no problems. The problem here was trying to get the couch down the stairs because of the angle. It was quite funny to try and maneuver, but we did it. This is the end of day 2. Same thing, the end of the hall looks the same. All 4 of those rooms are done. The kitchen is now completely done. The little breakfast area here and then the dining room and living room are all done as well. We ended up getting upstairs completely finished by about 1 o'clock. I wanted to be done around noon, but some things took a little longer than expected. So it was about 1 o'clock when I'm taking this video here, and then we get started on downstairs. Downstairs, we have this little room, which is like a little cement storage room, I believe, which was inaccessible. Then we have this laundry room that actually has a bathroom behind one of the doors and a hidden room that we don't find out about until later. That right there is nope, that's the garage, but the other little door was a bathroom. And then over here we have the other living room slash family room. This was by far the most stuff in any room that we had encountered so far and would be the final room that we tackle on day 3. This laundry room was fun because it was mostly just craft supplies, and that's where, I live. I love crafting, so I was super excited to see things, and if I could take anything, I did. Unfortunately, I had to throw a lot of it out, which made my heart so sad, but it went really well. But once I get around this corner, you'll notice I kind of stop and I look at Matt. That's because there's another room we didn't know existed once we were able to gain access to this room. Right about here, I noticed there's a whole craft room behind here that we didn't know about. And the camera does pan and show you what I'm talking about in a minute, but I wanted to get more of this cleared out before I go over there. This room didn't have a light that was working, so we had to unfortunately use a flashlight, which is fun because you can see all the dust floating in the air, but it made things a little difficult to see. This is the hidden little craft area behind the wall that we didn't know existed. So you can imagine my surprise when I finally got back there and realized I have a lot more work cut out for me than I thought. I get started tearing all of her crafting down, which broke my freaking heart, let me tell you. Some of the sewing machines were able to be salvaged though, as they were going to go to Matt's grandmother. This whole shelf over in the corner had nothing but magazines on it. This was a piece of furniture that I really fell in love with. It was a green washed solid pine bookcase, and oh my god, if I could have taken her home, I would have. I have absolutely no room for her in my house, but I would have found a way. This was the hidden bathroom that was inaccessible when we first got here. This bathroom was quite small and wasn't used for anything but storage. You'll notice when I pull everything away from the wall that there's quite a bit of black mold as well, which we will tackle in 2 weeks' time when we come back to clean. The hardest part was definitely this little teeny tiny shower. There was not even room for us to walk into it. You had to turn sideways. So getting everything out was quite the challenge. This room was the one that was the little concrete storage room, again inaccessible. The door didn't even open all the way, so the shots that I get of this room aren't great until we get into the room, and I apologize for that, but it's just the way it had to be. I'm so sorry. This room again just had a lot of magazines, newspaper, stamps. This is the room that we found the preservatives in. You can see them on the shelf there, and there was a lot more yarn in this room as well, which I took a little bit home because I, again, am a knitting and crocheting person. This room we found a ton of family photos in, so those just went back upstairs in the room where we were collecting family photos, jewelry, and all that fun stuff. I was super concerned about spiders in this room because it's like a cold cellar-like room, but we found no sign of life in this house at all. No dead spiders, no dead flies, nothing alive. It was quite insane. There was just so much dust that nothing wanted to live here. These two big packages were big amps or big stereo systems from the 90s that were unopened. It was quite insane seeing the things that these people collected and just never touched. Like, they are worth so much money now, and we just ended up having those. I think they're still upstairs. We kept those for a little while. This was a little area underneath the stairs, and again, more crafting supplies. That was all that was in this room, was crafting stuff. And we did have an accident there. You notice all of the little beads on the ground. A bunch of sequins exploded all over me. I later found them under my shirt, under my bra, and so on. This room was my favorite. It was my number one favorite room to clean, period. It was, I don't know what about it. This was day 3, and I just had so much fun doing this room. It had the most stuff, but it went by the quickest. And I think it's because a lot of it, again, was just crafting supplies, yarn, books, VHS movies, DVDs, etc. So there was not a lot of things that we had to sit and go through very tediously. It was just a lot of bigger items that we had to remove. So the time lapses are quite satisfying to watch, and the room itself was quite satisfying to do. I started stacking books over in this corner once I cleared off this shelf here because there was a wall of books and I didn't know where to put the extra boxes that we found. So they just ended up in that corner and they are still here to this date. The Salvation Army or somebody should be picking them up, but I think they'll still be there when we go back to clean. The organ that's sitting over in the corner, the big piano, we did not move. It is still sitting there. I'm not 100% sure what the homeowner plans to do with it, but he told us to leave it, and it was heavy. I didn't really want to move it anyways, to be honest with you. However, the other furniture in the room did go, so this chair, and then you'll notice me taking this sofa out, or what I thought was a sofa. You'll see me flip it on its side and then stand there for a second and realize it's a sofa bed, and it was heavier than all get out. Also, trying to maneuver it around the corner and up the stairs was a headache and a half. I could not for the life of me figure out how to get that little bench seat open. I tried so many times. So right about here, I'm moving it and I'm like, damn, this is heavy. I flip it upside down and that's when I notice, oh shoot. 2 full sea cans and 2 1-800-GOT-JUNK trucks later, and this is the condition of the house as of today's date. Like I said, we are going back and getting it all cleaned up, but that will be in 2 or 3 weeks' time from today. And I do just want to reiterate that if you or a loved one that you know is struggling or living in a home in these conditions, that you're not alone and that it's okay to reach out for help. I know it can be scary and I know it can be very hard, especially for the people living in the home. But if you're close, I would love to help you with no judgment. And it doesn't have to be something dramatic like gutting the entire house like we did in this clean here. I've helped so many people that live in their homes get to a place where it is no longer considered a hoarding clean and they are able to maintain on their own. This room here, they still have things to go through. These are all of their belongings. There's a couple books in there as well. This room has just books that will all be picked up for donation along with that desk. All the closets are empty, and then the vacuum and the step ladders in the hallway are there for us when we come back to clean. All cabinets and cupboards have been cleaned out, and the house is practically empty. Overall, yes, this video may have been heartbreaking, and this clean was heartbreaking to do, but the job needed to be done, and if it wasn't me, somebody else was going to do it, so I'm just thankful that I was able to come in with no judgment and help the son clear out this home, and all of the worries that he had and stress that he had is now gone. I will keep you guys up to date when I come back and clean it, as there will be cleaning videos as well posted to my TikTok and my YouTube channel. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out to me via email. You can also text me or DM me on Instagram if you want the quickest reply. Thank you guys for watching and supporting this channel, and I hope to continue to be able to post videos for you. The final room I'm about to show has so many books in it. Those will be donated. They will still be there when we come back to clean, but we're going to do our best to find a company to come take these away for us because there are way too many to go through and we just want to donate them to good homes. If you have any questions or concerns, feel free to comment below on this video or, like I said, email me or DM me on Instagram. Here are some of the after pictures, all cleaned up. I hope you guys have a fantastic evening, or whatever time it is that you're watching this, and thank you very much for supporting the channel. Until next time.